This episode of The Harmonious Gentleman is brought to you by our friends at Blind Man Brewing, the most awarded brewery in Canada. They brew innovative, high-quality, and flavorful beer while working for sustainability through their green initiatives. Blind Man Brewing hosts all kinds of harmonious fun at their beautiful tap room in Lacombe, Alberta. Live music, cornhole leagues, wonderful tacos, or a refreshing pint with friends. There's always something fresh and tasty at Blind Man Brewing.
Well, if podcast episodes were the number in millions of scam ads that Meta removed from Facebook and Instagram in 2025, you'd know this had to be episode 159 of The Harmonious Gentleman. I'm Chris.
Wow, Chris, what an interesting fact you brought us today. Ty, what do you think about that fact Chris just said?
Chris, that was probably your best little intro that you've done.
Yeah.
They're all great, but I especially appreciated that one.
Yeah, thank you. I found it interesting too. Like, is that number accurate or not? Right, that's one thing I'm not sure.
Right.
Like, do you question the accuracy of that?
Yeah.
But I'm Graham.
I'm Tyler, and we aren't with Chris actually anymore.
No, he just came in for that little bit.
He's gone. We have John Davis with us. Hey, John.
Hey, how's it going?
Right as you're about to take a drink,
it was good timing.
Yeah.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Nice.
We're at the Teachers Conference, Central Alberta Teachers Conference. And
this is our first one after our sort of King series, which was really fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was a good time.
But we're keeping it rolling with guests.
Yeah.
Intelligent, inspiring, amazing guests.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no pressure, John.
Nope.
I'm feeling the pressure.
Before we get to why we're having John on, we should quickly do we have any messages from emails there, Tyler?
Yeah, it's a little backlogged, so I have to go back to early February for this one.
Oh, man.
But it's a message from listener Finley, and it's a very lengthy, well-thought-out email, so I'm not going to read the whole thing.
But we did, and we enjoyed it.
I have read it,
yeah,
but I'm not going to read it all right now. It says, Hola, Language, Captain, and HuMan. I've been behind on episodes, but I listened to episode 151 yesterday, and I'm disappointed with Language and HuMan. What do you mean you've never seen The Goonies? That must be fixed, because I lost some respect for you. It literally has little Sean Astin and Corey Feldman. Do better. Tisk tisk. Oh, man. Anyways, I'm beginning to make a list in order to educate my old teachers with their knowledge of film. So I was wondering if you guys could send me a few of your favorite films so I can work around that. Okay. That includes you, Captain. Okay. I am begging. I'm giving you three a life-changing opportunity.
Wow.
And then there's more. She goes on to talk about more things that she disagrees with us
which we will take into account for sure.
Yeah. And it was, the next part's about emotion, and it's awesome, but we'll read it maybe another time.
Okay.
So thanks, Finley.
Thank you, Finley.
For calling out the other two for not seeing The Goonies and claiming to be film people.
Do I claim to be a film person?
I don't know.
No.
You come across as a film person.
Thank you. I'll send some movie suggestions along.
Okay.
That I can guarantee are better than The Goonies. John, you ever seen The Goonies?
I have, but not since I was a kid.
Okay. Yeah. So you have cred immediately.
And it's...
with Finley.
Yeah, with Finley.
Yeah. Finley, just so you know, I did pick up the newest DeLorean Lego set. It's like a smaller version. I actually, confession time, I bought 2 of them.
Okay.
Because it can be put into movie 1 mode or movie 2 mode. And so I wanted to have 2 on the shelf. So that's a humongous waste of money that I'm a little ashamed of. Speaking of being ashamed of things, let's do recommendations.
Okay.
Do you want to start us off, Tom?
Sure. I'm very not ashamed of this recommendation. It's GB Music in downtown Red Deer. I was looking to purchase some instruments and audio recording equipment for my classroom, and I went to the big main music store downtown, Long and McQuaid, and they didn't have exactly what I was looking for, and I was a little discouraged. So I was driving away, and I just happened to see a sign for another music store, GB Music, and it was a little tricky to find how to get in. It's upstairs in an old downtown building, but it's worth going there. Like, very helpful. The guy is very into making coffee, so he'll make you a coffee. And just a huge selection of synths and drum machines and recording equipment, instruments, guitars.
Cool.
Yeah. Just a great kind of place to hang out too if you like that stuff.
Yeah, you showed this stuff to me earlier, and I'm quite jealous. Like
That's why I showed you.
It's going to cost me money, you going there, so thanks. Yeah. I was going to recommend Long McQuay, but I won't anymore. No, I go there all the time too. I recommend a show called Adolescence, which has been out for a few years, I think, on Netflix. Maybe not that long, but I'm behind a bit on it. It won a bunch of awards, and it's 4 episodes. They're an hour each. And Tyler, you've watched it now too, and John, you've seen it, and it's great. Like, it gets you thinking. It's technically amazing how they shot it. Every episode's one single shot. Performances are amazing, and as a father of young kids, there's other perspective there too, and it's worrying in lots of ways too. It wasn't exactly an easy watch. Like, it's not a feel-good show, but it is, I think, really well done, and it makes you think about a lot of things. So check out Adolescence if you have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I second that.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think I recommended it to you. We shouldn't do this, but I told you to watch it after only 1 episode. But then as I kept watching, I was thinking, okay, it was good.
I waited for your follow-up.
Yeah, sure you did. Well, the school one gave me like a little bit of anxiety. That was a tricky one to get through, for sure. But John, we're just throwing this at you. Do you? Chris is not with us, so we're sort of missing that third recommendation. Do you have one for our listeners?
Yeah, I'll go in the same vein as Adolescence because I agree. I think incredible show about. I think the protagonist is a 13-year-old. And really incredible story of this 13-year-old and that rigid masculinity that no 13-year-old should have to feel constrained by. I'll recommend a book that I just read actually for the second time. I read it in university, didn't love it. It was like required reading, so I just read it, flew through it. Yeah. But just recently read it again because of the work I'm doing. So The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. Which would be kind of a similar vein as Adolescence. So talking a lot about gender, in particular, how everyone is connected in some way to a man, right? Whether it's your dad, your brother, your partner, you are a man, and how men have such a hard time embracing like a will to change. And so this book was basically saying the antidote to all this aggression and violence that men feel is love. And really great read, quite short if you are into short books as well, and good if you're not being forced to read it. It was good.
Cool. Can you say the name again?
The Will to Change by Bell Hooks.
Cool.
We should do like a book study episode maybe on that in the future.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, John. Cool. All right, well, that business out of the way. So
yeah.
Ty, do you want to mention how we sort of decided to chat with John?
Well, we've started doing this at this conference is we look at the schedule and we look for topics that seem interesting and presenters that sound interesting, and then we make a podcast episode out of it. And we count it as going to a session at the conference. So that's kind of how it started. We both have some familiarity with John, which made this really easy to do. And I'm going to I think after the break, I'll let John talk a little more about what we're going to discuss today.
Sounds good.
Sweet.
Here we go.
This segment is brought to you by Cilantro and Chive. Delicious, creative dishes, a huge variety of locally crafted drinks, and with locations in Lacombe and Red Deer, they're making 2 communities more awesome. Check out their mouth-watering Burger of the Month, a rotating menu item that satisfies your hunger and supports local initiatives and charities. Cilantro and Chive, fresh, simple eats.
So who are you? Where do you come from, and where are you going?
My name is John. I used to be a teacher for 10 years and a school counselor as well. And then in 2023, my wife and I started Social Shift, which is a mental health collective. There's about 20 therapists that work there. And we quickly realized that therapy is a really ineffective way to help people. Or inefficient. I shouldn't say ineffective. change that word. Inefficient. One-on-one help is just really inefficient, and I love the work, and I think it's important. So we've spent kind of the last year thinking about how do we bring these really important mental health conversations into the community, and it seems super appropriate that mental health and community, there's like a incredible intersection between those two ideas. So I think where are we going, it will likely be how can we continue to explore that intersection between being mentally well and being connected and rooted in community.
Just a question, John. You were a teacher first. For how many years?
About 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you started, did you see this being a part of your future at all? You know, getting into this line of work, or was it always just I'll be a teacher? That's what I'm gonna do?
I really loved history, so I was like, I want to be a social studies teacher. And then in the first year, I was like, oh, wait, teaching is not about the content, right? Like very quickly learning that, like, that is the smallest part about teaching. It's actually about supporting kids, getting to know kids, connecting with kids, building community in the classroom, building community in the school. So for me, that was a pretty quick learning phase. And then, about 5 years into it, I kind of had the idea of supporting kids that way. And then, I went back to school and got my counseling degree.
We were at your presentation yesterday, and that sounds like that might be a piece of your, where are you going? Do you want to talk more specifically about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Social Shift, we're working on a program called HuMan, which is influenced really heavily by a program in Australia called Man Cave. The guys behind Man Cave realize that there's a lot of adolescent boys that don't go through a rite of passage. They don't know what manhood is. They don't know what masculinity is. They don't know, how would you know you're a man? How would you know you've left childhood behind and become an adult? So this program comes into schools, works with, in particular, middle school age boys around rigid masculinity, healthy relationships, robust mental health for young boys. And this year we were hoping to kind of do a trial run, and it was supposed to launch the first week of October, actually.
Right.
And in Alberta, there was no school in the first week of October. So we've actually been putting it off for a few months until we can do like a really good rollout. So our first session actually will be the middle of March in one of the local middle schools.
Okay. You talked about being inspired by the program in Australia and rites of passage. It made me wonder, we're all in the same ballpark, our age. Like, did we have a rite of passage?
I think we did, and I think a lot of our rites of passage were likely harmful, right? It probably included things like binge drinking and doing really risky things and,
Right.
dating and things like that, right? And I don't know if I can recall a ton of healthy things that would go into our rites of passage.
Yeah, like a healthy rites of passage, yeah.
Whatever kind of the word healthy means.
Right, yeah.
So how do you aim to affect change there then? What is a specific, how do you offer young boys that? What could that look like?
I think at the root of adolescence, it's a very social time of our lives, right? In early adolescence, it's about just fitting in, being friends with everyone. Yesterday in my session, I talked about mattering, right? It's almost like breathing in air is our social relationships. And with a lot of the teen boys that I work with, we also talk about the relationship we have with ourselves. It's should be the strongest relationship we have, right? It should be the one we know the best, the one we invest in the most. So I think, the work of HuMan, the program, is really rooted in relationships.
Can you talk a little bit more about mattering?
Yeah, it's, I was going to say it's kind of a new word. It's new to me anyway. There's been a couple books that have come out. I think there's a TED Talk on it. But I think it's a way to shift our perspective away from, kids just want to fit in. They just want to, be liked. And instead, if we use the word mattering, it's almost equated to our basic needs, right? Like being clothed, being fed, having shelter. It's less about this kid did this class because they just wanted to fit in, as opposed to like, no, this kid didn't really have any other choice,
It's
right?
like instinctual. Almost,
Totally.
right?
Yeah. So it's a way to kind of shift our perspective that it's almost like survival, right, is mattering.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier a lot of young men, boys, adolescent age, they find like the online world is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the term rigidity yesterday, which I really latched onto that during your talk.
Good.
Because I think that's a really, really great way to think about what a lot of people see and experience and what they're influenced by.
Mm-hmm.
How does that, when you think about someone mattering, how does that clash? Like, what is the problem? Why would a young person who desires mattering in the way you've talked about, why are they drawn to rigidity? Why is that? This might be changing topics a bit, but
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good question. So the word rigid, I think, fits best in this context because I think, when Adolescence, the show came out, for example, or we talk about Andrew Tate, the word toxic really came out, right? Like this idea of toxic masculinity. And I think there is a bit of pushback to that masculinity isn't toxic, but maybe the way that it was expressed in the TV show, it's expressed on social media with Andrew Tate, for example, is a toxic form of it. So I think at the heart of some of the harmful ways we express masculinity is just rigidity, right? We are incredibly rigid to these beliefs, right? That we're incredibly fused to them, right? We're almost stuck to them. It's hard to get unstuck to them. So I think to kind of put a little bit of nuance into the idea of mattering and rigidity, mattering should be really authentic, right? Like I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to feel connected, engaged to people in my life. Whereas fitting in might be that more rigid piece, right? Fitting in is more like, well, I have to wear these certain clothes, or I have to act this certain way, or talk this in this certain manner. So I think mattering can be a more authentic version of our social relationships, whereas maybe fitting in feels a little bit more inauthentic.
Okay.
And I also think about being competitive, right? Like I'm a competitive person, but if I think about the teenage boy in the classroom, wants to matter, thinks rigidly about what that means and what like the outcomes are, a lot of it feels like there's winners and losers, and I need to be the winner by being. Is there is that connected to, like, it's not just, or maybe that's what you meant by the authenticity piece of it. Like there's an authentic mattering, and then there's also their perception of what it means to matter.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick story. So I did a few sessions at a conference last month called The Ascent, and it was for middle school boys in our city. And in one of the activities we did, I read off kind of statements, and one of the statements was, being a man is being at war, right? Being a man is being at war. I have to outperform, outfight, outlast all of the other guys in order to win. And even in the statement, I think there's a piece about like to get the girl, right? Like, because if I'm being competitive, what am I going to win? Right. And in this statement, it was about getting the girl. And quite a few of the boys in the group agreed with that statement, that it really is, feels like you're at war. And when I talked to one of the boys about why did they agree with that so much, they told me about this somewhat popular theory online, kind of in this social media circle called 666, which is if a guy is 6 foot tall, has 6 figures, and has a six-pack, they are likely to get the girl. And if you are 6 feet tall, have a six-pack, and make 6 figures, you're in like less than 1% of the population. And the belief behind the theory is the 1% of guys will have their pick of all the girls, and everyone else just has to fight with each other for the leftovers. And, so a totally harmful belief.
Oh, man.
But that's the rigidity, right? Because I can measure those things, right?
Yeah.
The rigidity is because I can measure those things.
Well, in the show, there's another ratio they use, 80-20.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the same idea.
Same
I think.
idea.
Yeah.
This segment is brought to you by the King's University in Edmonton, Alberta. Check out King's brand new Bachelor of Kinesiology degree. This integrative, highly practical health sciences program is about preparing you for careers in human performance, sports, and biomechanics. If you have a passion for movement and exercise, visit kingsu.ca/kinesiology.
John, thanks for your wonderful answers so far. I'm definitely interested in so many ways we could talk about this. But there's one thing that pops up a lot, and that's the inherent like sexism in so much of this stuff. So you've got all these young men, and so much of what they're being fed is inherently sexist. What do you see? To me, that's like a major problem. I mean, it really worries me in a lot of ways. How do you feel about that with the people you've interacted with and what you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've actually kind of shifted the way we see this, like aggression and violence. That's like deeply rooted in the sexism. For example, any like educational programming on like gender-based violence or intimate partner violence now actually focuses on boys. Right, whereas previously it focused on girls. How do you keep yourself safe? How do you how do you protect yourself in those moments? And now there's been a switch to, well, actually, maybe our education should focus on the perpetrator a little bit. And actually, that is a part of the HuMan program, right? Is looking at healthy relationships. In the session yesterday, I talked a lot about, when we teach a lot about relationships, right? And we're certainly talking about heterosexual relationships here, right? But even in schools, comm class, Health 9, things like that, the curricular outcomes talk a lot about like intimacy, right? And they talk a lot about romantic relationships, but there's not a lot included in that around like boundaries or safety or emotional safety in a relationship too. So I think those are two pieces that kind of like structurally or systemically are good changes. One of the things I've noticed more anecdotally, more one-on-one with the teen boys that I work with is there's just so much uncertainty. They just don't know how to approach these relationships. They don't know how to find resolution in conflict. And even more so, they're not sure who to go to. Right. So if they're having a conflict with their girlfriend, right, and think back to being 15, 14 when you had your first girlfriend, right, and there is a bit of an argument or there is a bit of a conflict, like that's a hard thing to deal with at that age. And then where do you go to kind of talk that through? So anecdotally, I think that's kind of where it comes from, is that uncertainty. So maybe that rigid piece kind of fits really well when you are feeling uncertain.
Yeah.
With the shift in the way we approach problems like violence, and now focusing on the role of males in that, has that led to some reaction, like a defensive reaction? Like now men feel attacked. Now, like they almost react in a stronger way. Like we need to go back to the days where we could do what we wanted to do.
I think there's probably some truth to that, right? I think, I made a comment in the session yesterday about research is showing that there's more traditional or rigid norms. I had said I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, right? I don't know if we have more rigid norms than we did in like the 1950s, for example. But I would say there's a bit of a slide back towards that, and probably in both genders as well. I think that there's a lot, if I think to kind of my counseling theory, there's a lot of theoretical underpinnings that men are really rooted in fear right now, right? And that comes from the uncertainty. So it's actually, this core emotion of fear that is leading to the violence, that's leading to the aggression, that's leading to the sexism, that's leading to the rigidity. Because there's not a lot of safety in exploration. There's not a lot of safety in expressing emotion. There's actually just a lot of fear in it. So I think a lot of it is motivated by fear. That's my theory too, is that I think men in a broad sense are afraid of losing what we once had. And that maybe leads to some of these, why like an Andrew Tate type might get some traction, is because he's saying what kind of the
what they want to hear, right? Like these young boys, like they're like, well, I don't want to be the problem. So if I listen to this guy, he's saying I'm not the problem, like everyone else is the problem, and have the right to do what I want to do. So I get why in a 13-year-old brain they're drawn to that. It's just makes me sad.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, a common comment on Andrew Tate is like he would be the most effective at influencing scared boys, right? Scared young men, right? That's where he would be the most effective. So I think that kind of checks with that theory as well.
Yeah.
So how do we combat that? It's a simple question, but it's not a simple question.
Yeah. So a couple things. Number one, I had said earlier, rigidity really takes hold when there's a lot of uncertainty. So if I'm uncertain of what these emotions are, because I've never really expressed any emotion other than anger, for example, right? Or if I'm unsure what a healthy relationship is, because maybe I haven't seen one with my parents, right? I don't have a lot of healthy relationships in my life. Maybe I'm also uncertain on how to express masculinity in a way that isn't harmful. I think we have to provide some certainty in those ways as well. The research that's come out of the Man Cave program in Australia has said the best way to do that is role models, right? The best way to do that is healthy mentors, healthy role models. In the Man Cave, it was started by a couple young guys that used to play Aussie rules football. And now, they train these young college-aged guys to go in. They're really effective at making strong relationships. They're really effective at showing and modeling these healthy and well behaviors. So I think those are two really big pieces right now.
Are there some specific, you mentioned behaviors, what are some of those behaviors that we should be modeling?
So I think the biggest one is emotional expression, right? I think I work with a lot of teen boys, but I also work with a lot of men, right? I work with a lot of people our age that are dads even, right? They've got kids. And they really resonate with anger, and they really resonate with overwhelm. Those are the two emotions that they talk the most about. And when we kind of explore other emotions, right? When we talk a little bit about what comes when anger's gone away, right? Well, I don't usually like to go there, right? Is often their comment. That's a scary place to kind of think. So I think emotional expression is for sure probably our greatest need, because anger can be really useful. The purpose of anger is to fight off or defend. So there is a purpose to it. But we're talking about aggression. We're talking about violence. We're talking about harm, right? That's where anger is unhelpful.
Right. Yeah. And that's, so when you go into schools with the HuMan project, is that going to be a piece of what you're doing there? The focusing on emotional expression?
Absolutely. One of the kind of taglines we have is emotional expression, not emotional suppression, right? And we kind of start with the metaphor of if you're out at the beach or you're at the pool, emotional suppression looks like kind of pushing that beach ball underwater, right? And just trying to hold it under as long as possible. And then typically what happens is I let go of that beach ball, or it shoots up and hits us in the face kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of explodes. It doesn't nicely come to the top. And I think that metaphor really resonates with a lot of people, that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort to hold that beach ball under the water. It actually feels good when it's just resting on top, right? And that's really where it should be. It should just be floating on top and accessible.
Yeah. So practically, as a teacher of adolescent boys and also a father, I have a son who's entering that era, what does that look, how do I help my son express his emotions?
Yeah, so the first step is vocabulary, right? The first step is how do they access the words, right? How can they label that emotion a little bit? Again, even just working with grown men who probably couldn't tell me many emotions other than like the 5 core emotions on Inside Out, right? Like how do I get beyond like what anger is? Because I can be angry, and if I got really specific about that, I might be feeling furious, or I might be feeling defensive, but I also might be feeling let down or resentful, right? And those are all forms of anger as well. So that's the best way to go. I think as a dad of kids, we can do 2 things, right? We can suggest emotions, right? We can say, you look really furious right now, right? I've seen you be mad, but you look really furious right now, right? And, your son might go, well, what's the difference? Right? And we might go, well, mad is like you stubbed your toe, right? Or so-and-so, you lost on the video game. But furious is like, no, someone wronged you. Right? And so that language is really important. That specificity is really important. I think that's a really great place to start with young kids. And there's lots of tools for that. I kind of made a joke about the feelings wheel, right? Being on all the pillows in everyone's counselor's offices. But I showed a couple other ones in the session. But I think anytime we can build some emotional language, I think is step number 1 for sure.
Cool. We've been, where I work now at Step Up, Step Down, we use the emotions wheel all the time. And I'm feeling some guilt right now that I haven't brought that home. I do it at work. With the clients in our program, because it's proven to, but exactly what you're saying, like introduce the vocab, differentiate between these feelings, even talk about how it feels in your body. But it would be very easy for me to just take that practice home.
Well, is there a website we can go to get this wheel?
Yeah, it is literally thefeelingswheel.com. And I will also throw out, if you go to the Feelings Wheel 2.0, which is the one I showed. This one's a little bit more directed by behavior and a little bit more somatic. And I think it's a really helpful tool for young boys because emotions are physical feelings. And I always joke that like a 10-year-old boy doesn't know if they're like hungry, needs to pee, or is angry, right? Like, because they're all similar feelings in some way. So, that one's a helpful one as well.
Okay, cool. We'll link that on the Substack. How about that?
Yeah. We'll see if I can figure it out.
I think we have in the past, actually, now that we mentioned that. Or at least we've
linked something in the past.
All right. Well, stay tuned for some more here. Let's take a little break.
I suppose one other thing I'll mention too is when working with a lot of men, they talk a lot about loneliness. Certainly not at first when we first meet, but they do talk a little bit about loneliness. And I think that's kind of worth addressing too. Probably an emotion that our teen boys feel as well. And the people I work with, they'll talk a lot about, this great family that they have. They've got friends. Maybe they have a partner. They've got people in their lives, but they still feel incredibly lonely. And it's actually, this was one of the reflections we had years ago. It actually helped inform our name, Social Shift, because we knew there's many pillars of health, but our social pillar is often one we don't really look after, right? And I think as dads, we probably can acknowledge that we're busy running around with our kids and trying to keep a home and get to work and all those kind of things. And so I think, obviously the antidote to loneliness is community, right? Is to feel like welcome and accepted within a community. One thing we did before Christmas is we hosted a men's mental health event. So I just reached out to a couple people that I knew and trusted and said like, hey, do you want to help host this? So our good friend Cody was the host for the night. And I invited my friend Ev Tates from Calgary to come, and who I think is a huge champion for community. And another friend, Skylar Roth, who ran across Canada for mental health, actually, like ran 65 kilometers a day. Wild.
Jeez.
Yeah, he actually just ran, I want to say he ran a marathon in a coffee shop last week. Like he just ran in a circle for 26 miles or something. Like he just does these wild things. So
Wow.
You know, I wanted to pick people I could trust, and I kind of put it out there, and I said, like, where should we host this, right? Like, we're often talking about, like, meeting people where they're at. So where should we host this? And Trouble Monk reached out, and they said, we'll host it. And I was a little bit nervous. We often talk about, like, the intersection between, like, alcohol or substance use and mental health. Yeah. But we went with it. We weren't really sure what to expect, and actually the event sold out. Right, and we had about 50 guys there that were all really engaged in how do we build community, how do we look after ourselves, how do we access help when we need it, and it was really cool. I was kind of expecting like a lot of wives to drag their husbands there, and that was not the case at all. Like, people came, they had a drink, they engaged in the conversation. So I think, the more we can embrace community, the more we can champion community. I think that's a way to tackle some of this rigid masculinity as well.
Will you be following up with similar events going forward?
Yeah, I believe so. I think we're going to do it kind of twice a year. So we're tentatively looking at April and then again in November, because I think it was really valuable. And I think a lot of people, they stuck around and said it was really helpful and really eye-opening, some of the conversations we had, or some of the things that people shared at the event. So, I would love to kind of have more of those.
It sounds awesome. So I don't want this question to sound like critical at all, but like, how do we make sure community, like if community is a piece of the solution, how do we make sure the community is a healthy one? Because I feel like in my head, not every community is a community that's going to be beneficial for combating toxic masculinity. Some communities reinforce it.
I think that's a really good point, right? We could easily say Andrew Tate has his own community.
Totally, yeah.
Or provides a sense of community.
Absolutely, right? So I think the marker of a healthy community will be that emotional safety, right? That I can come and have a safe place to express emotions, right? I think that will be kind of the marker, the criteria, if you will, that it is a healthy community, especially for men. At our previous event, there was a couple tears, right? There was also a lot of laughter, right? And those are all forms of emotional expression as well. So I think that would be the marker of it. I think people seek community in a number of places, right? People go to church for community, they go to school for community, their workplace is their community. But I think the way we know it's healthy is it safe to express myself, but also safe to express my emotions here too.
Right. I think having taught middle school boys, and not just boys, you see, but I'll keep it on in that realm for this one. But like you kind of know it when you see it with like a group of grade 6 or 7 boys, if it's like a healthy friend group,
right?
Like quite often you see them mocking each other, like. So it's very harsh the way they speak to each other, but they would say, no, that's my friend, they're just joking. And that kind of laughter is very, like when you see it, that's probably not healthy, right? That your only way to relate is to put the other person down. But then when you see a group, because I've seen this too, a healthy group of boys who are supporting each other, maybe even someone's crying and someone has their arm around them, right? Like you see that with adolescent boys too. So if you apply the same reasoning to adults, that might be helpful. Or at least, like if I think about the communities that I'm a part of, there are probably some where it is more of a put each other down, laugh at each other, maybe a more negative vibe, but there's other communities where we can be vulnerable and speak. So maybe that comparing it to, as like when you're looking at kids, you can kind of just tell. Right, and if you apply the same logic to adults, maybe it works too.
I would agree with that. Again, to reference back to Man Cave, they have part of their sessions they do a session on banter. Right, and I think it's probably really helpful that it came from a place of sport, because I think sport has a lot of banter in it, and so their activity kind of exposes the banter a little bit, right? And they do a little bit of an activity around like what makes banter healthy, because it is connecting in some ways, right? It is funny and it is connecting, and then what makes it unhealthy? And they often report that there's quite a bit of honesty that comes out in that session, right? Where someone will say, well, so and so keeps talking about my mom.
Right, yeah.
Right? And they don't know that my mom has a chronic illness. Right? And then once that honesty comes out, then there's a better way to kind of like tackle like what is healthy banter, what isn't. So I would agree. I think, you know, we have people in our lives that we feel a lot safer with. We have people in our lives that, you know, our banter is like a little bit more back and forth. It's not personal. It's not harmful. And then sometimes it is, right? And I think to be that 12-year-old boy, it's first off hard to distinguish between the two.
Yeah.
And then it's hard to do something about it as well.
Yeah. Cool.
You taught for a bunch of years, and now you're working with same age kids, but more one-on-one. What have you learned through that process? What do you think what are you taking with you now after you've done these different things? What's the biggest thing or trend that you've noticed maybe in the past number of years? Maybe perspective shifted. I don't know, but
you know, it's interesting. I was a high school teacher and high school counselor for 10 years. So I worked with 14 to 18-year-olds, and so now I do spend a lot of time with that age group. But I also spend a lot of time with men. Right, men our age, and there's actually not a significant space between teen boys and men. Mm-hmm. Right, that's something I really reflected on. Is you know, again, to become a dad or to own a house or to buy a car or get a job, right? These are all markers of entering adulthood. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a ton of difference between the 16-year-old boy I taught in English class and the 36-year-old guy, you know, that I work with right now. So that's kind of one thing I've really been reflecting on is I think we're all still carrying that version of that teen boy who we used to be. Mm-hmm. But it's actually okay to move on and move forward from that, right? Like we don't actually have to carry that version with us every day.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Interesting.
Well, thanks, John, for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was cool.
It's been really awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we're headed into our last segment, but this is the last chance. Is there anything else you think we need to know or our listeners need to hear?
I guess I would just underline and highlight like how important that emotional safety is, right? It's the most unsafe thing right now for a lot of our teen boys. Mm-hmm. But I would really encourage people to embrace like openness, flexibility, curiosity. That's how we create emotional safety.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
This segment is brought to you by Birdie Coffee. The team at Birdie Coffee is passionate about high-quality, locally made craft beverages. Enjoy a decadent latte, freshly roasted espresso, or something iced and delicious. Located in Red Deer, Alberta, Birdie Coffee Co. is a stop well worth making. But don't worry, if you aren't in the area, you can get their fresh roasted coffee beans delivered right to your door. Head to birdiecoffeeco.ca to learn more, or check them out at the Gasoline Alley Farmers Market, Thursday to Sunday.
Well, you know, sometimes when you're hanging out with people and friends, you feel the need to confess things to each other. And so Tyler and John, I think today we're going to do that same thing. We're going to partake in confessions.
Okay.
For the 150
Just for something new. Yeah.
Something new. So I'll start with my confession here, guys. I've been a dad for 10 years now, and wrestling with the kids has always been a really fun thing to do. Mm-hmm. And when the kids are smaller, you can toss them around, flips, and it's really fun. But as they get older, I sort of forget that they're no longer 20 pounds. Like, they're getting a bit bigger, and I don't have the same kind of control over what happens to them in the air as I used to. So my confession is that I just botched so many things in the pool the other day with my daughter. She's just suddenly put on, I don't know, she's just tall and more weight. Not that she's overweight. This is coming out wrong.
Yeah. You're also getting weaker.
Well, this is the thing, is I am getting weaker. For sure I am. Anyway, there's a few moments of just embarrassment, but the worst one was she wanted me to throw her in the pool. And you got to get the angle right. Like, they have to come down on their feet, right? But no, I hucked her in the air. It took every last ounce of energy and effort just to get her up there. I wasn't thinking about position.
Your aim was off.
And she landed just flat on her back.
Ouch.
Like, it made this horrendous slapping sound. And then they're underwater for a second. She's underwater, and I'm waiting for that moment I'm like, maybe it didn't hurt that much.
Yeah.
No, it did. And then people in the pool were looking at me like, what are you doing to your daughter? It looked bad. So sorry, June. That's my confession, is that I really messed that up. And a few other things too. So I need to really get a new way to play. I don't know. They're too big, which makes me face my mortality.
Feeling weaker?
Feeling weaker,
Yeah.
older, grayer, and they're getting bigger, stronger, faster. I wasn't ready for this.
Yeah, at the pool of all places.
Exactly. That's where I did a lot of self-reflecting, and also literal self-reflection in the mirror, looking at myself after in a bathing suit, looking at how that's changed too.
Yeah.
So lots of self-reflecting.
Yeah. My confession is from when I was probably 13.
Oh, I love these old school ones. Let's do it.
Talking about the developing brain and risk taking, and maybe just thinking very short term reward. I can't really tie it to mattering, because I was by myself when I made this choice, but I thought it was like big thing to do, like spitballs at school, like shoot them like the hollowed out pen, you shoot wad paper. But I was in my room and I thought I can shoot this out of my nose, I bet, pretty good. So I was firing spitballs out of my nose, and then one got up there a little too far, and I tried to grab it out of there, and I couldn't get it out, and it was way up there, like beyond recovery, and I was so scared.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to tell anybody, and I was panicking, and I can't remember how it resolved. I don't think I told anybody.
It's still there,
But
probably.
it might
It was
still
a good
be
sneeze
there.
that
But
happened.
I just I did get it out, and I don't remember if I had help or if but I just remember feeling so much relief, because it was such a terrifying thing.
Yeah.
And also just so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Was it terrifying that it was up there, or that you potentially had to tell someone?
That I would have to tell someone. Yeah. Like that.
That is
I can't
terrifying.
do it myself. Like, yeah.
Yeah. How much more terrifying would it be now if that happened? Actually, no, it'd be less terrifying. I would tell someone. Who cares?
Yeah, I'm telling you guys now. But it would still be scary to have to go.
I like that.
I would go to my children before I go to another adult, though.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're smaller
tiny hands,
fingers.
yeah.
Smaller
They're
fingers.
smaller
yeah.
fingers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I need your help.
Logistically helpful. John, do you have a confession?
I do, and I thought we were just going to go easy breezy with our confessions, but yours did not feel easy breezy.
It did. Oh, well, then injuring my child, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, mine. So we order groceries every Sunday for the week. It's our one way of trying to be organized. And this week there was no school, so we didn't have. We were kind of like, what do we order? Do we need all the school lunches, everything? And so I convinced my wife, just buy a rotisserie chicken, and I will cut it up, and we'll just eat it for a few lunches,
days,
whatever.
Yeah.
I was going through my fridge today, and I still have that rotisserie chicken from Sunday, and I'm sure it is no longer good. So my confession is, I thought I was going to be really organized this week, and I wasted $12.98 at a Superstore rotisserie chicken.
That's a perfect confession.
That's perfect.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Very relatable.
Okay.
Relatable.
Yeah, we've
We've all been there.
We've done we've done it successfully. Take it and cut it up and freeze it for the week or
It
whatever.
would be great.
It works, but I think everyone knows that item that you bought that you take out of the fridge a week later, and you're like, oh man, what a waste.
It was good intentions.
Yeah. Honestly, I can respect that.
Yeah, you crushed it.
I can also respect listeners who want to get in touch with the show.
Yeah. I don't know the email address though.
That's Chris's job.
Yeah. Shoot. harmoniousgentleman@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Should get you there.
Yeah.
And then we also have our Substack.
Sorry, before you go there, Tyler, we mentioned to listeners, if you want a hat or some merch or a pin, email us. And Tyler, you hand-delivered a hat this week.
Yeah, we got an email from listener Dan.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just straight up just asked for a hat, and we made it happen. So
You don't have to pay for it?
No.
Really?
Just ask us.
That's
you
awesome.
can pay us,
Okay.
but you don't.
Well, that's preferred.
Yeah, we just love hearing from our listeners, and it's been cool. We've actually had a few people ask.
And if you want to know what they look like, there's a video version of this episode.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube, go to Substack. You'll see John wearing the hat on camera.
Yeah.
I did not pay for it.
Definitely
Yet.
not.
Yet.
There's a bill after.
$60 hats.
Sorry, and you were going to mention the Substack
Oh,
too,
yeah.
Tyler.
Yeah, the Substack is where you can find the aforementioned videos and other things.
Yeah.
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 That's about it.
Well, John, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Great conversation.
Yeah.
We'll maybe have you back again one day. I'd love to hear how it goes in those schools. So good luck. I hope that goes well. I think the schools could benefit greatly from what you're doing. So thank you for that.
Listeners should check out a website. Do you have a website?
Yeah.
Yeah, socialshiftwellness.com is where we have everything. It's like an over-exploding website right now because we're just trying to throw as much stuff on there. But all of our therapy stuff is on there. But we also have lots of like free resources people can access as well.
Cool. That's awesome.
That's great. Chris, do you have any quick thoughts here at the end?
Brilliant as usual. Thanks.
Man, just you don't know what you got till it's gone. Okay. Well, thanks again, guys. We'll see you next time on
The Harmonious Gentleman
podcast.
Harmonious gentleman.